Welcome to Northern BC Narratives on location. Today I have with me Alex Mackenzie, an amazing comedian who has such an intriguing story that is going to change your life. Alex, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Happy to be here, Zeus.
So talk about yourself a little bit, who you are, what you do.
Okay, so yeah, my name's Alex Mackenzie. I'm a stand-up comedian from Prince George, BC. I've been doing it professionally now for about 4 years. So I quit my job as a power engineer and an instrumentation mechanic at a pulp mill here in Prince George. I sold my house and everything I own, and then bought an RV for me and my dog Finley to start touring the country doing comedy.
Okay, so let's start from your childhood.
Okay.
Talk about your childhood. How were some of your experiences, and what was your dreams, and then why did you choose the job you were in before you become a comedian?
Okay, perfect. So childhood, right? I was born in Prince George here, raised by my family. I'm a middle child. That's why I have the need for attention, you know?
You're a middle child.
I am. I got an older sister, younger brother, and Maddie and Liam.
Yeah.
Older sister's like 2 years older, younger brother's 3 years younger. So it's like right in the middle. It's pretty cool. I got to know what it's like to be an older sibling, a younger sibling. I have a brother, I have a sister. So I'm very, very blessed. My parents are still together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Been married for 40 years, I'll tell you.
Your parents are
Yeah, my parents, yeah.
40 years.
40 years. A lot of love there, but doesn't look fun, I'll tell you that.
What do you mean doesn't look fun?
Oh, dude, I always say that marriage to me, dude, it looks like taking your favorite song and then making it your alarm clock, you know? You're like, I used to love you so much, but waking
Not
up to you
anymore.
every morning is just too much. So, yeah, and growing up, I went to like a College Heights Elementary, just a small elementary school here, and my first dream ever was hockey. I wanted to be a professional hockey player.
Did you play?
I did.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. Very good and all the stuff, right?
I was okay. I was pretty good. So I played like rep hockey, and then I played some senior men's hockey, and I did that, and did that right up until I was 30. Up until I started doing comedy is when I quit playing like competitive full contact hockey.
Yeah. Why didn't you pursue?
Oh, because I was just never good enough. So, well, there were certain things. There were certain things.
And truth comes out.
Yeah, no,
You're like,
well,
I'm good. Well, no, you're
No,
like,
I was pretty good, but I wasn't that good, is the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was good enough to play at a competitive level, but
Yeah,
not at, like, the elite, like, where the pros are at, you know?
Yeah.
But I learned so much from hockey. Like, I honestly give all my success in comedy to hockey. Just because hockey was the first dream I had that failed. And then when it failed, and you realize that you missed your shot, man. And it was from, like, I don't know if I ever would have made it, but a lot of lack of effort. You let other people tell you how good you were. You let other people decide, like, you listen to people when they're like, oh, no, you're on the third line. You're not on the first line. And then you just would be like, oh, I'm a third line player. And I let other people decide where I was. No matter how much you improved, it seemed like you were going to stay in that spot. And lack of genuine effort. When you saw, it was a weird thing. Like growing up, it was cool to not try, right? Like if you were trying, you're a loser. You're like, like if people were trying hard, you're like, oh, you try hard. Like, what are you trying hard? And you would always want to pretend that you had an extra gear. So in hockey, if you were like skating, trying too hard, it became like you're not cool. So then
I thought the whole point of hockey was to be competitive and be the top.
Yeah, once you get to the elite levels, and if you're smart enough to do that, but I cared too much, like my ego, where I was like, I don't want to, because if you try and you fail, then it's like, oh, you couldn't do it. But you can always lie to yourself and be like, no, I could have went a little harder if I wanted to. You guys won because I didn't really want to try, like it's just a game, like all those things. And then I took all of those lessons, and now in comedy, dude, it's like, I feel like I got a second shot at life, man. It's like foot to the floor, go, like. Yeah, I try very, very hard.
Okay, so talk about some of the things you learned in hockey.
Oh, what did I learn in hockey?
Some of the stuff that that made you change your life, or some of the stuff that you're using right now.
Oh, stuff. Basically, just what I said. It's mostly just like work ethic. Like it is just time and effort is what's going to get you there. Like you see people. Not to throw names out, but Brandon Manning from town here. Like he made it to the NHL, the highest level, and had a very good career. And Brandon, growing up, wasn't one of the like most elite players, but he was obviously one of the hardest working and kept working and never stopped, right? And then you see that, and you're like, those are lessons that you learn. It's like all the guys that I grew up playing hockey with, who were like the top of the tier, none of them are doing it professionally, you know? It was like the other guys were the ones who made it. That's not true. Nick Drazenovic, he was very good and he tried very hard. You know, now we're just talking about a bunch of people in Prince George. But yeah, he and I think he worked very hard and he did very good. Yeah. But those are things. That's the biggest lesson. It's like I just wish I would have tried harder. And with an athletic pursuit, it dies so early. Yeah. Like if you don't make it by 20, like you're done. Yeah. And that was something that happened. I realized like I was working at the mill and you're like, dude, this is it now. Like you don't ever get to try play professional hockey again. I actually kicked around the idea. I was like, dude, I could go to Australia. I go to Europe. I should go try out for like a pro team over there and just see what happens. But yeah, when that pursuit died, when I had comedy and when there was this thing that I kind of liked, that I had an opportunity to make a career, I was like, do not make the same mistake. Like try very hard.
Do your best.
Yeah. And another thing is like the learning curve. Like, in hockey, what happened, and I think this is unilateral across the board in any pursuit or any skill set you're trying to gain, is the learning curve is very steep. Like you learn quickly, so you're like, it's fun at the beginning because you're learning and you can see improvement. You look back, you're like, dude, I'm better than I was last month, like, and you're getting better and better and better. But at the elite level of anything, when you start getting towards the top, the learning is so slow. Like at hockey, I quit. I didn't want to practice anymore because I'm like, I know how to shoot a puck. I know how to skate. I know how. And it's like, well, no, you got to keep shooting the puck. Like shoot 500 pucks a day and you're going to get better. But it's just going to be such a slow improvement that it's probably not enough for you to want to keep doing it, you know?
So it gets boring.
Yeah, I guess that would be it.
So you give up on hockey. Then what happened after that?
Oh, well, I gave up on hockey when I was like 16.
16, okay, so what happened after that?
Oh, then I was just a reckless little punk running around, causing trouble, you know? And then trying to figure out what I was worried about. I was like, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to be a productive member of society. Yeah. So I was trying to figure that out. Did you start
getting into trouble and things like that, or?
No, I got in trouble once. I got one scare with the law, and
what was it?
It was stealing No, I'm fine, dude. I'll tell you whatever you want to know, man. Stealing a credit card.
You stole a credit card?
I didn't steal it.
How the heck did you?
I didn't steal the credit card. My friend stole a credit card. This is another really good life lesson, actually, that helped me a lot.
Oh, they stole it and they got you involved. So when with friends like this, who needs enemies, right?
Yes, exactly.
So tell the story. What happened?
Oh, so my friend stole a credit card from this girl, and then they convinced me that I was it because I just turned 18, and we were just graduating high school. Yeah. And they convinced me because I had a beard. But they're like, you're the only one of us who looks old enough to have a credit
alcohol
card.
Related?
Oh, we were drinking. It was a great time, man.
So what happened with the credit
card? That's how I found the credit card. Is I went to reach in my buddy's backpack, and I was like, hey, where are the beer? He's like, they're in the backpack. I reach in. And there's a Ziploc bag, and I pull it. I'm like, what's this? And he starts laughing. And it's a credit card. Yeah. And then did a big speech about how I'm the only one who looked old enough to use the credit card, and
they tricked you.
Yes. Yeah. And then I ended up using the credit card, and I bought us chewing tobacco, I bought us cigarettes, and went to Denny's, and I paid for all our Denny's and stuff, and then immediately got caught. And I remember being in the police station and being like, look, man, I didn't steal the car. Yeah. My friend stole it. Yeah. I just used it. Yeah. And they're like, we don't care who stole it. Yeah. Like they did. They're like, dude, we have video footage of you buying all this stuff. Yeah. That's you in there. We don't care about anything else. Yeah. And then that's where that was such a good, valuable lesson where you learned that it doesn't, you're accountable for your actions, and it's only you that can make the decision. You can try and blame other people all you want, but it's up to you, man, and you're responsible for your own life and outcome.
When you got caught, and then they were coming after you.
Yeah. Did I cry? No, I did cry.
You cried?
I cried, yeah, in the interrogation.
Okay, no, before that, when they put that handcuff on you, before you cried.
Oh, I never got handcuffed.
You didn't get handcuffed?
No, dude.
How is that possible, man?
No, all they did, they just called. They literally called my cell phone and said, hey, Alex, this is Constable, you're in trouble.
SWAT team and
nothing. No, didn't kick down the door. They literally just called and said, hey, man, so
we have you on video.
Stole, we got some people saying you stole a credit card here, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Do you know anything about this? And I just played dumb. I was like, no, I don't know anything you're talking about. And then the cop was like, okay, well... He goes, I guess then you're going to have to come down here and talk to me. So if you get a chance, he's like, before the end of today, I need you to come down to the police station and come talk to me. Yeah. So then I was like, shit. So then I was like, well, I went to my dad and I was like, Dad, which that's why I think it's such a funny thing about parenthood. Like you're just sitting there. My dad's just sitting there after probably working his third or fourth 12-hour shift in a row, just trying to put his feet up for a minute and just get through life with these goddamn kids. And then
how many kids?
Three.
Okay.
Three. I think that's the maximum number.
You guys, what did he do? What did your dad do?
My dad, he was worked at the pulp mill. So
So he's tired. The poor guy is home,
Exactly,
tired.
dude.
There's no life left in him.
Yeah,
And then you are.
I know. And then you got to show up and be like, by the way, Dad, we got to go to the police station. And it's like, no, man. Like this poor guy.
What was his reactions when you said that?
Oh, dude, that was like the least of his problems.
You're a comedian. Do your father's reaction.
Oh, my father's reaction to the thing?
Yeah, I'll be your, yeah.
I don't know. Okay, what do you want me to try to do? You want me to do an act out of my dad's reaction?
I say, hey, Dad, I'll be the son,
What
you be
did
the
he do?
father. Okay, pretend you're your dad, okay?
Yeah.
Dad, we gotta go to the police station.
Like, God dang it, Alex, again. I just got off work. Now I got to deal with this. The dog pooped in the house. You know, that would probably be it.
And then what happened?
Well, then we went to the police station, and then we had to have the interview. So then they sit you down in the interrogation room, turn on the tape recorder.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, no, just straight up good cop. You know,
Oh,
he just
wow.
sat down and he
Wow.
goes, "So, Alex, we've got these video footage, we got this, all this type of stuff. What's going on,
Did
man?"
they show you? Did they show yourself to you? Did you saw the video
No,
footage?
no.
Oh, so-
But I knew. I'm like, thank God. Dude, that's the thing. You're not that smart, right? Literally used it at the convenience store that I grew up going to my whole life. Like, it's like a block from my parents' house. I'm in there every week anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like they know who you are.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you think you got this anonymity, but they know. And yeah, so did that, got in trouble. Then I just started crying.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's your future? What's your plan? You finish school in a month, man. And the thing that was really scary is you were going to get tried as an adult, right? Because I just turned 18.
Oh.
So this was like I'm like, this will be on your permanent record that you're good
Isn't
for
it 19
fraud.
in Canada?
I think it's 18. 18, you're an adult.
Oh, man.
And 19 is when you're allowed to smoke and drink, but 18 is like when you're a grown up. So it's going to go on my permanent record. And not cool. You're like, well, I'm never getting anywhere. Like, no one's going to hire someone who's like got
Yeah,
a
criminal
fraud
record, right?
thing, right?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's terrible.
So I was very scared. And right away, you know, they asked me, what's your plan? So I was like, dude, I'm enrolled at CNC. I'm going to go do my power engineering, all this. And they just said, you know, we'll talk to the people for you. And they called, and the deal I got made was
They made you a deal.
They did. They made me. They
It's
cut me a
just
deal.
Such a petty crime.
Cut me a deal, dog. And
It sounds like
I
an
know, right?
FBI movie.
Oh yeah, you give us the whereabouts of Snooki shoes.
Listen, how much money did you put on the credit card?
Probably $300. That's always around 300, 350.
How many years ago?
This would have been
20?
15. Hey, I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're probably been 17. Yeah, 20 years ago.
So you said $300.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now that would be probably equivalent to $1,000 now,
Yep.
with our economy and everything like
The
that.
2000. I'd say safe bet.
2000.
No, I don't know. I'm just
Oh,
spitballing.
maybe next year.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so what is the deal they made with you?
They just, whatever I spent, because the credit card company is obviously going to reimburse them because
Yeah.
I stole,
Yeah.
you know, and they're pretty good with that. And then, you know what's funny? My credit card got stolen this week.
Are you serious?
I just forgot about it. I
Man,
just know that.
it's a circle of
I
life.
know, dude,
It's
second
just-
time this card got stolen. I've had it stolen this time last year and this time again. Yeah.
Did they steal some of your money?
They're just doing it. It's like online. Yeah. You just notice weird purchases online.
Is it $300?
No, imagine it's the exact same amount, right? And it's for chewing tobacco. You're like, no way, these guys, did I steal my own card? Maybe it's me from a kid doing it? Some weird, like, what is it? Like, is it Donnie Darko has all the different dimensions? I don't know.
Yeah. It's Donnie Darko. I think I
don't
remember.
know. Who
This,
knows?
so, okay, what was the deal?
Oh, I just had to, the amount of money I spent, I had to donate to a local charity.
Local charity.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, so my parents had to donate $350.
Your poor father. It's like I gotta pick up the Sunday shift also.
I know, man. That's why I just think being a parent, it's like that's the ultimate sacrifice, you know, like having kids.
Did you get any discipline? Usually, slap.
I would have got in trouble, but like not anything too crazy.
Did your dad give you chores for that $300 or
No.
did you even go to your room?
Yeah, but I had my PlayStation in there, but they might have took the PlayStation.
How long were you in that room for?
I don't even know. Dude, I can't recall, man. I don't know. I don't know. But no, it's pretty, my parents were pretty lax, dude. Like they're very like laid back. They were I think I had the best parents in the world, man.
Yeah.
They were like disciplined enough. Like they gave you enough rope for you to figure stuff out on your own, right? They're like, you're getting in trouble, and they knew when to step in anytime it was like a real problem, you know? But they would, they never really, yeah, they weren't too strict or too hard on it. Or,
You're one of the lucky ones, man.
yeah,
I heard stories.
yeah.
Oh man, like.
Oh no, I was very lucky, dude.
Okay, so this experience shocked you.
Yeah, well, it just taught me a lesson, which is really good, which seems to be most of the hardships in life do.
So what happened after? What happened? Were you?
Oh, I straightened right out, man. I was so afraid of getting in trouble. You were like,
You became an angel.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say that, but for a period of time, I was like a lot better. It just made you really start thinking about, well, what are you doing? You know,
where am I going in life, right?
Yeah,
So,
and so then, then from there, I went to college.
Okay.
And I did.
What do you take?
My first course, I was trying to get into power engineering, but it was full. So there's like a year-long wait for that.
1 year long. What is that?
Yeah, my parents knew that I would not be productive in a year off.
Yeah.
So they're like, you're going to school. So they put me in the pulp and paper technologist program, which is the one thing I didn't want to do.
Pulp and
Paper.
paper.
So it's like we have pulp mills here, pulp and paper.
Yeah, you smell it every day here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's them. So
Like your eyes come out of your.
yeah, we only got 2 now, man. There used to be 3.
It was 3.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I took that pulp and paper technologist program, and then my dad worked at the mill, which probably helped.
Yeah.
So then I took that course, and then because first my dad was trying to get me a job at the mill.
How long was the course?
8 months.
8 months.
Yeah.
That's it. 8 months.
Yeah.
Oh wow, man, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then, what did you learn in those 8 months? Were you excited when you were there? You're like, oh, I don't want to do
No, I
this.
just wanted to get through it. You're just like school.
It's like history
School?
class.
Was I excited for school? Are you kidding? No, I didn't want to do school, man. I was just trying to get through it. I remember my girlfriend at the time, probably is why I got through, because she would do all my projects for me.
Your girlfriend would do all your project?
Yeah, she's actually the reason I graduated high school, pretty much. I did do the homework. I just never liked homework.
You had it, so like, look at you.
I didn't want to do homework, man. It was like a lot of work. And you're like, it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing I've learned. Like, just have fun, dude. Like, if you're having fun.
So, I mean, like, what kind of homework did you have to do for this thing?
Pulp and paper course?
Yeah, was it like, did you have to?
Oh, it's like you have to get like I don't even know where you would get that. I know now you go to a craft store, but like those big sheets of paper that
Yeah,
are
I've
colored,
seen them. Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you'd have to do like an area of the mill. So they'd be like, you draw the bleach plant, and you'd have to have like a bleaching system.
Yeah.
Or they'd be like, do chip screens. Like that was your big year-end assignment.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not doing that.
What is the bleaching? What is that?
Oh, it's because they bleach the pulp, right, to make white pulp.
What color is it originally?
Like brown, like a tree.
Wow.
And then I got to bleach it with chlorine gas. Yeah.
Wow.
And then the chlorine gets her to go white. Yeah.
Okay, so you did this so you finished your school,
So I finished my school,
and then what was the plan?
got a job at the mill.
Were you excited about the job?
Yes, very excited.
Okay, good. So I thought maybe you will hate the job too. So talk about
Later on I did.
okay. So talk about how excited you were before you were making good money, right? So talk about how was the experience of starting in the mill,
Yep.
and then what happened that you started hating it.
Okay, all right, perfect. So the mill, I really liked it. It was like getting your first paychecks, man. It was like freedom, dude. You were getting full grown-up paychecks. I think my first paycheck ever was like $1,500,
Wow.
and I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I remember going and filling up the truck with gas. I went and got our old wave runner. We used to have an old wave runner sitting in the backyard that didn't work. It's like a jet ski.
Okay, good.
And filled that up with gas and got new spark plugs and went and took that to the lake and bought a new phone. But no, it's just great because you were like, so again, that's what I was saying, like my biggest fear was, could I be a productive member of society?
Yeah.
And then that all got answered by getting a job at the mill. You're like, now I have the means to take care of myself.
Yeah.
My family's not going to be burdened with me. And
You're your poor father.
Exactly. So it's like I now have the financial means to take care of myself, which was great. And so I started doing that, started working, started making some money. I bought a new truck.
What kind of truck?
2007 Tacoma, same one I drove in here today.
Are you serious?
Same truck, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, I've changed a lot on like my views on what I want to spend money on and how I look at material things.
Yeah, I'm like that too. People think that if you have the money, you should buy a brand new car every couple of years, brand new this. What are you gonna do with it, right? It's gonna drive you from A to B, right? But some people are they think that brings I guess you could say, class, and then self-worth.
Right.
What your self-worth is got to do with who you are as a person and what you do, right?
100%, man.
All right, so this is interesting that you think like that. Not a lot of people they think like that. Everybody, some people, it's funny enough. Some people still in the older age, want approval. I want to impress people, but there's nobody to impress but yourself, right?
Yeah.
So,
A really cool quote I saw the other day was, acting rich will keep you poor,
yeah,
but acting poor will make you rich.
exactly.
And I was like, dude, that's so good.
Yeah.
If you just act poor, like you're gonna end up rich, man. It's like, yeah, it's a great move. Yeah,
And you save your money. You don't have to spend it on all this stuff, right? So it's just crazy.
yeah.
Okay, so we can talk about that. So you,
So I was working at the mill. It was
Yeah.
good. Like I was very happy. I got a house. I had a mortgage by the time I was 20. I had a new truck. I bought jet skis, dirt bikes, snowmobiles.
Yeah.
Bought everything.
You went all out, man.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Well, I always say I won the Redneck Olympics because that was the.
what is the Redneck Olympics?
Oh, well, that's like up here, we're like hillbillies up in the north. So
Yeah.
like the coolest thing, that's the thing, when you're in your own little world, you only know that world, right?
yeah.
And the coolest things were like you had to be burning gas, like burning oil, two-stroke, So it's like if you had a dirt bike, snowmobile, like those were what people looked up to. They're like, you got the new snowmobile? And like that was the coolest thing.
Are you serious?
So if you had that, you were cool. So then you needed like the snowmobile for winter, the dirt bike for the summer, or quad or whatever. And then you needed a truck, and you're supposed to get a big one and lift it, and all of those things. And it was like you realize you're just making payments on all this stuff, and it just isn't. I do like motorsports. Like I love them. They're so fun.
It's fun.
They're very, very fun. But at the cost of my life, no. Like not in the sense of getting hurt, but just like once you have all those payments and you're shackled to that thing, you're like,
You're screwed.
Yeah, it was just not fun. But where the mill lost it for me is I feel like the opportunity of advancement kind of thing. Like how it started, I was in the machine room. So that's the part of the mill where they like turn the pulp into like sheets of pulp, and they cut it into squares, and then they bale it up and send it out the door. That's where I was. Now within like a year and a half, I was signed off as a back tender. I wasn't carded at that position, but I was trained up to be able to do that position. So there were about 5 positions on the mill, and back tender was the second highest. The only one above was machine tender.
How much money? Okay, so how much extra did you make from the beginning till that position? How long did it take you to get there, actually?
Oh no, it's all just union, so it's just time. You're just waiting for someone to die or retire. That's it. There's no way you're going, but you get trained. So
you get the same amount for all of it?
No, different jobs you get different money. But what would happen is like I got trained up to be a back tender, like I was allowed to be one if people took time off. So if there was an overtime call, they could call me and I could go in.
What is a back tender?
A back tender, so he's basically just running the crew. Okay. He's running the little 4-man crew. He runs like it's not even do I remember the guys below it? Back tender.
You're a supervisor of 4 people, basically.
Kind of, but you have a supervisor, so not really. You're just like, you're the guy who...
You pyramid.
Yes, exactly. But I don't know, you're kind of directing the dry end of the machine, I guess, is what it is. So like when things go wrong, it's like you're kind of leaned on to know how to fix them, on like what things to do.
So you're almost like a technician, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then the only job ahead of me was the machine tender. And you're like, dude, that'll take me 6 months to learn how to do that. And then I'm like, now I'm 21 and you're done? And I'm like, now I just sit here and do this for the next 40 years? So that scared me.
Was it boring? Like, tell me.
Very boring,
Tell me what is the day-to-day doing that job? So
which one, the machine room?
The back tender, right? Is it called back tender?
Yeah, well, I wasn't a back tender, I was a utility. But I was trained up to a back tender. So what the issue was is I realized, like I'd learned all the jobs, and you're pretty much done other than machine tender. So I knew I wanted to get out of there. So your day-to-day would be like, you come in as a utility guy. I would come into work, and here's the thing, if the machine runs smooth, you do nothing.
What do you mean you do nothing? You just stand and look? Do you sit down or do you have to stand up?
Sit. You're sitting in a control room, an air-conditioned control room, watching movies.
Could play games in there.
Yeah. But it's like that's if everything's going good. You know, if everything's going bad, then it's like you can be running around pretty chaotic trying to get things going. But the pulp mill was a weird one for me, like, because it did something to me that was so. I'm a very hardworking person, besides what we've talked about so far in my childhood. Okay. So like I have my own company now, I have a corporation, and I self-produce all my own comedy. And it's We do like large scale stuff. We're doing an arena this year.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I don't think anyone in Canadian comedy has independently produced like an arena show really. Like maybe a couple other guys, but very few. Anyway, I love what I do now and I work very, very hard. Now the pulp mill made me believe I was lazy. And how it did this was, so you used to have to repulp like a minimum of like 48 bales a day.
Yeah.
So they were off-grade bales. These were bales that were made that could no longer, they didn't meet specs.
What is
So
bales?
a bale is like what they turn pulp into. So it's like a sheet. So they're like the pulp, they take like, do you know what pulp is?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they take pulp. Well, I don't know if you know. Like I can explain. So
Oh, the
pulp.
people might not.
No, I'll explain. Okay, other people might not know. So pulp is basically like wood fibers with the lignin removed.
Okay.
So they take the wood and then they put it into wood chips and then you cook it with what's called white liquor and then that removes the lignin, so you just get left with the cellulose. So that's why wood chips are hard.
Yeah.
But then when you take the lignin out, lignin is like the glue that holds the fibers together. So it becomes a mush. So it's now this mushy wood fiber.
Yeah.
And then what they do is they roll it into, like it goes on a thing called a fourdrinier, and that thing spins like this, and then it goes around, and they dump it over, and then it makes a smooth sheet like this. And then they have presses that press it, so then it turns almost into like paper, but way thicker, and just large grain pulp, and then it goes along, and then it gets to a machine called the lay boy, and that has slitters, tough one for a lispy guy to say, slitters, and it cuts them into lines, and then has a thing that spins this way and goes chunk, and makes them into squares.
Okay.
And then they stack about 350 sheets to a bale, and then it makes the bale, and then that goes down and gets pressed in a bale press, and then they actually wrap the pulp in pulp with wires, and send them out the door. And then people buy them to then turn that into toilet paper, into cardboard, into paper, whatever they want. Now, there's bales that get made off spec that are no longer, like they can't be sold.
Okay.
Right.
What do they do with it?
There's wrong. They might have too much dirt in them, too much like crap, whatever. I don't know, but they got too much stuff in them that you can't sell. Sometimes the color, if they're not bleached properly, so then they have to go back through the system. So then you repulp them and you dump them back into the thing, and they get all mushed up and swirled around, and then you send it back to the back end, and they put it back through the process and try to make it better.
Oh wow.
Now we had to do a minimum of 48 of those a day. Now, when I started at the mill, like I said, there's not a lot to do.
Yeah.
I was banging out 200 plus of these things a day.
Yeah.
And just like, because it was like, oh, it's the one thing to do. It's like, you know, drive the forklift. It's kind of fun and like doing it. And within like a week, I remember they stopped me and they're like, my back tender did at the time. And they're like, hey man, like, you're sure doing a lot of repulping, you know, like, you're doing like 200 bales. I'm like, yeah, like 200 bales a day. They're like, yeah. I was like, that's so good, hey? They're like, no. And I'm like, why not? And they're like, Alex, if you're doing 200 a day and everyone else is doing the minimum 48, what do you think they're going to start asking? Why can't everyone else do what Alex is doing?
Yeah.
And he's like, what they're going to do is they're going to raise the minimum.
Yeah.
He goes, so what you do the minimum and don't do any more.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what? So then I had to stop.
Yeah.
So then you would go and do that.
It'd be extra boring.
And then you'd sit in the control room and play on your phone. And then you know what they would do? Then they go, you're so lazy. All you do is sit around and play on your phone. And you're like, what is happening right now? Like, you're literally telling me I'm doing too much and I need to slow down. And then you're giving me trouble for being lazy. Like, and then it just became like this crazy thing.
Abusive, you know.
Yeah. And then I started to believe it. Like, after being there for 10 years, I'm like, I guess I'm just lazy, you know? But I didn't, what I realized is I just didn't like my job.
What happened at your job that you got interested in comedy?
Oh, nothing at my job. It was more just like I didn't like my job, but I always liked comedy my whole life.
Tell me the process. What happened? Like, what happened that you boom?
How did I get into comedy?
How did you get into it from this job? So what? There had to be like a kind of a moment of truth or something like that. Right?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a job that got me into it. It was a podcast. So I used to run a podcast, and that's what got me into it. But the fact that I was unhappy at the job is what pushed me to pursue it so hard. Like if I was, that's what they say. They say like the worst spot to be in a relationship, in a career, in anything is like just good enough, you know? Because it's like if it's not that bad, but it's not that good, you're like, you know, it's very easy to stay and be like stagnant. But it's like when you're in a place, like I was in, like I was very unhappy. I was like extremely, extremely unhappy at my old job at the mill. And then when I had an opportunity like this with comedy that came around, then I was like, I'm not messing this up, man.
How did it happen?
So I started a podcast with my buddy Mike Stang, and we would do a podcast. We called it Address This Mess.
Address this mess.
Yeah, tough one again. Address This Mess.
It's hard for me to pronounce that.
Yeah.
I'll let you do the bidding for that.
No, I have a hard time. Too many S's for me.
I cannot.
You know?
S is very hard for me.
S is hard for me. Do you have a lisp?
Yeah.
No, you don't have a lisp.
No, S is hard for me. S
Right.
and R's are very hard.
Okay.
R and S.
All right. So you're in like a Camaro, like Camaro RS, Camaro Rally Sport.
Whatever.
Yeah, don't buy that one. Don't get an RS Camaro.
RS, don't get
It'll
RS.
just be a trouble for you.
I like Audi, to be honest with you.
An Audi.
Oh, it's my favorite car. But you know what? No, like, no, I don't care at all, right?
I want an Aston Martin.
Yeah.
like-
Look at you.
Yeah, the DB9. I want like the James Bond. They just sound so cool.
Yeah.
That's my dream car.
Well, now they got the electrical cars.
Dude,
then
I
they
got
put
to drive an Aston Martin last year.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was so cool.
How was it?
Oh, it was amazing, dude. It was my buddy's stepdad's in Australia.
Oh, it's too far away. I was gonna say after let's go take a
Oh,
ride.
no, and dude, the crazy thing, dude, you're driving a sports car like that,
Yeah.
and it's right hand, because you're in Australia. So now I'm driving that thing, and you're on the wrong side of the road, just paddle shifting.
Were you shocked? Like, were you like,
Oh, no, I've driven on the other side of the road quite a bit. I've been
Okay,
to Australia
yeah,
a few
yeah.
times, but it was just something that powerful. Just, oh, it's so fun, dude. I can't, I love it.
oh, God. Okay, let's go back to the thing. So,
Okay, what are we gonna talk about?
comedy. How did you get into comedy?
Yeah,
so you
so
did
the
your podcast.
podcast.
So
And-
what happened with that podcast?
What
You know,
ended up-
the thing between both of us, we talk very fast. We can both talk very fast. Some people, they cannot keep up, you know.
Right, yeah.
I
no
can
worries.
talk as fast as I want, and then I can understand everything at the same time. But some
Yeah.
people, you have to.
Tell me to slow down.
No, I'm
So,
not telling anything.
I
No, we can
got
both talk
into-
fast. That's good.
That
It's
is
like
good.
crazy.
Yeah, just chaotic. We get a lot of information. You get 3 hours in 1 hour. No, so what did I do? Me and my buddy had a podcast.
Yeah.
We ended up buying a bunch of Twitter followers at the time because we're like, we got to look bigger than we are, right? So we bought
fake ones.
We bought a bunch. Oh yeah, dude, I started doing this as a prank to all my buddies.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's still this simple, but you used to be able to just go online
And buy.
and there was just sites, and you just like buy. They're like, how many do you want? It was
many-
like for $10, you
Yeah.
could get like 10,000 Twitter followers.
Yeah.
And so what I would do, and all you had to do was put in the @ You just had to have their handle, or that handle is like an old name. The new way is @ You had to have their @ and you just put it in. So what I would do is I started buying them for my buddies as jokes because they would have their Twitter notifications on,
Yeah.
and you would buy them 10,000 followers for
And then
$10,
it boop, 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 boop.
and it would just their phone would just go, and it would just stop, and they're like, I can't even open my phone, like it just went crazy, and so it was so fun. So I was doing
God.
that. So no, we bought like 40,000 followers for our podcast account,
Yeah.
and then this comedian from New York reached out and was like, hey, I would love to be on your podcast. So we're like, sure.
You tricked him.
100%. So he obviously thought we were something bigger than we were, and he's tried.
From how many did you went to 40,000 though?
Pardon?
From how many people to 40,000?
Oh, we're probably like 12. I don't know. With no one watching. No one's watching.
Everybody
our
was doing
thing.
that. You know, it's just crazy.
Yeah. So this was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
that we-
So then what happened? The guy contacted you.
Yeah, so then we're like, yeah, let's do an interview. We'll interview this dude, and it was way back before Zoom or anything, and Skype even. Did we Skype him in? Dude, I honestly think
Skype was around.
I think we did a Skype thing, and then had to like do like a phone near a microphone. Like it was
Oh my
weird. It was
God.
wild the way that we had to do it back then. But we did that, and in the interview, I just mentioned to him, I said, I love stand-up comedy, man. I'm like, I've always wanted to try it. I'm like, but I live in Prince George, BC. Like it's a small town. There's not really anywhere to do it.
Yeah.
Now, someone in town heard that, heard the podcast, I guess, somehow, and reached out. So Brian Major, he's like a local comedian here.
Yeah.
He reached out and said, there's actually a group of us. We're doing an open mic every 2 weeks down at Alfredo's Pub.
Wow.
They're like, you gotta can come try it if you want.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, I gotta put my money where my mouth is. I've always said I wanted to try this. Now I gotta go do it.
Yeah.
And I went down and did my first 5-minute set, and it went well. Like it went as good as it could have went in your mind at the time.
So when he first invited you, what were you thinking? How did you feel? And then when you went on the stage for the first time, what was your feeling and reactions and things like that? What was going through your mind basically?
Oh, it's very hard to think that far back. I live my life like Vin Diesel, like a quarter mile at a time.
Yeah.
But it's trying to think. So I remember being very nervous about it, like just like when I got asked. But again, I was like, oh, I have to be like a man of my word here and follow through with this thing. So I went to do I'm like, we got to do this. And I went home and I wrote 5 minutes. My buddy on the podcast, he is very interested too. He's like, maybe I'll try, but I want to watch you do it first, and then I'll try the next open mic, you know? So I went down and did that. And I remember being very excited to tell everyone about it. Like, hey, I'm doing comedy. You should come and try, come watch us.
So when you were going up the stage, because you probably sat down, right? And then a couple of people went in front of you or no?
Yeah, the people went before me on stage, and then I was probably the third or fourth act, I think.
How were you feeling? Were you like, oh my God, it's my time? Were you nervous? Did you write anything, or did you have? Okay, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I had I just wrote 5 minutes of like word for word what I was gonna say, right? Like,
so you can memorize like that?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't memorize like that.
Yeah, I just remembered, but the trick was just that, like write it all down, and then you'd sit at home and you'd say it out loud, and you'd time yourself, and then you'd just do it again and time yourself, and like be like, okay, is that 5 minutes? That's 5 minutes. That's 5 minutes. That's 5 minutes. Then you just do that.
Yeah.
And then.
So you go up, then what happens? How many people were there?
There were about 35 people there. So it went good, I think. People laughed. It went okay. I felt really good after. I didn't feel bad about it. It was.
Were you falling asleep already?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think so far back, you know.
Because it's the pinnacle of your life, right? That's for the whole thing happened, right? So I want to see like what were your emotions and things like that there.
Yeah, well, you know what the biggest thing was? I think I really like the identity of a comedian. Like to get to say you're a comedian just sounded cool.
I'm a comedian.
Yeah, so you're like, I want to do that. So I think that was like really exciting after you've been on stage to try and be like, I'm a comedian, like, you know, and then start trying to do that.
So how long did you do that for? And did you also keep your job at the same time?
I did. I kept my job for after 4 years.
4 years.
4 years. So I did comedy. The first time I was 26 years old. Yeah. It was my first time on stage.
Every week you used to go though, right?
No.
Oh.
Not even close, dude. So we would do it. We'd have that open mic once every 2 weeks. And then once a month we had pro show at Nancy O's here.
Yeah. Oh,
it's like a place here. Nancy O's, you been there?
Yeah, I like it.
It's great food.
Tasty food.
Oh, so good, dude.
Oh, man.
So we would go.
Now. We just ate.
Yeah.
We had butter curry chicken, Jeff and I.
Yeah, I heard. And where was I on that? You guys just ditched me,
We want you to be perfect, right? We want you to be relaxed.
Well, I probably wouldn't be yawning if I had some more food, you know? I'm a starving artist here. Yeah, so they have they had Nancy O's would bring pro comics in once a month, and then I got to start opening for those guys. So you got to start doing 5 minutes for them, and then we started meeting more and more pros. It was crazy because you're just like, wow, like these people are actually making a living doing this. And then it started making me think like, hey, do you want to could you do this, you know? And I remember the first comedian who brought me on the road. His name was Brett Martin. He was the first comic. He came up here. I opened for him, and he's like, hey, kid, you're really funny. He goes, what are you doing tomorrow night? And I said, nothing, man. And he goes, I'm doing a show in Kamloops. He's like, how about you come open for me? And I couldn't believe it. Like, I was just like, oh, my God. Like, yes, please. Like, yeah.
Was this in the weekends?
It was.
Okay, good. Because you're working, right?
I was working, yeah. So this was like, I had the weekend, I had the Saturday off, and so I went and I drove down and did my 5 minutes of time. I was also dating a girl out of Kamloops at the time, so I was like, the universe delivers, man. Like now I get to go to her hometown, and I got to embarrass her in front of her mother, and God, yeah, it was great.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how was the experience over there?
Of where?
How was this experience when you went there?
Going to Kamloops?
Because that's your first big show, basically.
This was my first road work. Yeah, it was great, man. It was just very exciting. Like I couldn't believe being on a show outside of your hometown, telling jokes. You know, it was very, very special.
How many people were there?
Oh, maybe 50.
Okay, 50.
Maybe 50. Very small, yeah. Still big.
So then what happened after that?
Well, then I was trying to figure out if I liked comedy or not enough.
And still working?
Yeah, so I was still working at the mill. So from the machine room, I moved into power engineering. Okay. So I did that. After power engineering, I then became an instrumentation mechanic. So then I switched to that.
What is that?
Which one? Power engineering or instrumentation?
Instrumentation.
Instrumentation mechanic. So an instrument, it's basically yeah, exactly. How hard is it to tune a piano? No, it's basically if you want to know any process variable. So any process variable in an industry. So if you want to know the flow through a pipe, the pH of a product, the temperature, the level in a tank, anything like that, what an instrument mechanic does is they install a measuring device. Yeah. You know, they'll install an instrument to measure the process variable, to measure the desired one you want. Yeah. And then what we would do is we would implement a control system to control it to a set point. So So say that like, I always use Coca-Cola for an example.
Yeah.
So say that like Coca-Cola, to make their cola,
Yeah.
say they need like for 100 liters of water, they need 3 liters of syrup. So what you would do is you would install like a differential pressure transmitter on both.
Yeah.
Because did you know that flow equals the differential of pressure over the square root of the area? So if you can measure this side of the pipe and this side of the pipe and then have a known like blockage, you know, in there, then you can measure the 2 pressure differences and you'll know the flow through the pipe. So you would measure that, and then you would have like both of those measuring the flow through each pipe, and then you would have control valves that would open or close, and they would be on like a 4 to 20 milliamp system that would then go to a DCS, and you would control it to whatever set point you want, and then they would automatically adjust the valve. So we do all that geeky computer programming. That was the fun part. I really like the computer programming. That was cool. And then like out in the field installing the parts and stuff.
That's amazing, man. I never knew it was this complex. I probably will still be trying to figure it out tomorrow.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then what happened after that?
So after the instrumentation, after the Coca-Cola syrup got mixed, or
Yeah,
no,
sure.
just kidding. No, that's it.
So no, you're still doing this, right?
Yeah, so I was doing instrumentation. I
And
finished. So I was in an apprenticeship. It's a 4-year program through
4
BCIT.
year- Oh, BCIT.
So you do what you would do. You'd only do like 3 months of school, and then you'd be back at the mill for the rest of the time. Then go back and do 3 months. You do that for 4 years till you get your red seal, they call it, and then you can go and work anywhere.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. I was working doing that. I was on straight day shift now, which is what I thought would fix it. Like I was working shift work before, and I thought that's why I was so grumpy and miserable. But then it was like, you know, no, I got into the day shift. It still wasn't making it better.
Yeah.
And then, what happened? Oh, well, then I started really thinking about comedy.
Yeah.
The hard part was like I didn't like it that much at the beginning.
The comedy.
Yeah, because at the beginning you kind of suck at it, you know. Like you're just. And what I always say about comedy is it's very hard because it's a skill you have to learn in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like say that you wanted to learn how to juggle,
Yeah.
and I was like the only time you're allowed to juggle is when everyone's watching you. You can't juggle at home and practice. So that's like kind of like comedy is like you only really get the XP points when you're up on that stage doing it. So, and you only get to do it for 5 minutes at a time. And in Prince George, that was like once a month I could get on stage, right?
Yeah.
So it was just, it was very difficult to get good at.
Okay, so what happened? How did you get better?
Just getting on stage and trying. Just got to keep trying and keep trying. And then what happened though is like we had a comedy club open up in town called Sonar. So it was like our first full-time comedy club. So every weekend they were bringing in pro comics to come and perform, and then they were doing like 4 shows a weekend. So then if you could get on a couple of those shows, you know, now I could get on stage every week, and it was really fun. And I was meeting way more people that were doing this for a living, which was great. So then you start meeting them, and you're like, oh, there's people who actually only do this. And then, I could see the business side of it was also the thing that kind of led me to it. That was the thing was like, that's what started really pushing me towards doing it. I'm trying to think like what made me quit my job to do it.
Yeah, because there has to be a good reason for you to quit. It's a cushy job, I guess that's what they call it, right?
Yeah, it was. But the thing is like I was ready to. I got a skin on my lip. I'm trying to go. It's like winter now. It's really chapped. You know. Do you notice? Can you see it?
Yeah,
Does it look bad in the interview?
No, it's perfect. No, there's nothing on your lips, man.
Are you
There's
sure?
nothing
I
on-
keep
you look
licking them.
People think that, you're eating your finger now.
No, they're not gonna think that. They're gonna be like, this guy. He's so excited. He's just biting his nail. He's nervous in the interview.
He loves it so much. He keeps making his lips moist for the camera.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to get it, but I guess I'll just stop.
There's nothing.
If I look stupid in this interview,
I can bring the plunger.
Plunger my face? What's that gonna do? Pull my face right off? Jeez, come on. That'd be pretty good though. So what did I do? So what it was, like originally I was not going to do comedy. Yeah. So I decided I had to quit my job. I was like, I'm very unhappy. I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay.
And I wanted to travel. That's something
Even
I
though,
feel.
you learned something new, you still weren't happy with the job, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the decision to quit. Because did you prepare yourself, financially? Because, once you...
Everything, yeah.
Okay, so
like it wasn't like I quit. Like
I quit. I have no money coming in.
it took me years to make the decision. Like I always used to say, I'm quitting the mill, and people would say, everyone says that.
So
and
you saved money though, right?
No.
You didn't save money?
No.
You just quit like that?
Yeah, but I had a house. I had a plan. I had a plan. But it was, I had no money saved because I didn't have money to save. Like I was in so much debt, dude. Like I was in, like by the time I was 23, I was like over probably $600,000 in debt. Like
To what?
because when you're young and you're working at the mill, people, the bank will give you whatever you want. They're like, this kid has got the golden handcuffs, they call it. So they're like, I got a mortgage. And then once you have a house for collateral, they're like, what do you want, man? We'll lean everything against your house. So I was like, I had a brand new truck. I bought a jet ski, dirt bike, snowmobile. I bought all new furniture for my house. I bought giant surround sounds, bought bedroom set, bought a washer and a dryer, new fridge and stove, renovated my house. Like, everything. And I'm like $35,000 line of credit maxed out, another $11,000 line of credit maxed out, credit cards maxed out, everything. That you're like, your monthly payments to stay alive are like $3,700 a month. And you're making like $4,000.
That's just the interest.
That's just, yeah, well, I don't know. No, I don't know if it's just interest. I guess because some of them are on loans, some of them were on line of credit, so some were just interest payments, but some of them were like actual loan payments, like the jet ski.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's poor financial decisions. I didn't have anyone checking me at the bank, and they're just like giving you all this stuff, and so you're just working to pay bills to work to pay bills.
That's crazy.
And so then I was like, I'm gonna do this till I die. Like this sucks. And I always thought it was gonna get better. I'm like, once the truck is paid off, then I'll have more money. And it was like, once I get this new job or I learn this new thing and I get a raise, I'll make more money. And it never did. I never had any more money. Like, and it just sucked. And you're just like, man,
You're stuck.
Yeah.
With no progress.
And that's what I felt. I'm like, I'm gonna work my whole life at this place and just die. And it's like, you're never that. And the one thing that really started bugging me, I really started looking on social media, and I seen people traveling. I'd never traveled. I'd always wanted to travel. Like I never, like I said, I never took a year off, right? So I went right from high school, right to this college course, right into the pulp mill. And it was like your parents were like, just keep them productive, keep them going. And I mean, good for them. Like at that age, I was, like I said, stole a credit card. Like I was a loose cannon. Exactly, man. So that was a really good thing about the mill is you got to work with a bunch of grown-ups, which really helped me mature a lot faster than I probably would have otherwise. Still took me quite a while, but it's, yeah, so it was just really, yeah, what were we talking about? Sorry.
We're talking about how we talk about how you quit. We said so basically you didn't save any money. That's what.
And I didn't know, and I wasn't even quitting to do comedy at first. Honestly, like I decided I was going to quit when I finished my instrumentation mechanics. So it was a 4-year program. I'm like, I got to get through this, and then I'll do it. And so what did I do is I was like, hey, when I'm done this, I'm going to quit. And my original plan, I started a vlog. It's called An Experiment Called Life. Okay. And I chose that name because I think life's an experiment, and the solution we're looking for is our happiness. Now, the original plan was to get in the van and with me and my dog and drive to Central America. I wanted to go drive all the way to Belize, and then I was going to rent surfboards on the beach for a job or something, you know, to people. And I was just going to live off of the money of selling my house and live a very poor life, like, you know. Like poor, like
monk.
Financial, exactly.
Monk Alex.
Dude, I honestly got into that. Dude, I watched 7 years in Tibet. I started meditating. I started doing a lot, like, I did a lot of soul searching before I quit because I was so unhappy. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I quit drinking.
So talk about the soul searching.
So I quit drinking. Basically, it was like I was like 28, and it was not good. I was drinking and partying like every weekend. You know, I was out there. I was doing drugs. It was very bad. And I was just,
it's life. You have to go through some stuff.
Yeah.
How can you figure yourself out?
And so then it was, I was just very, very sad. And then I realized that I'm like, this is like a hollow pursuit. And, you know, it's not, like, I'm not getting anywhere. Like, I look back in 6 months and I'm like, I'm in the same place. So then what I did is, like, I quit drinking. I started going to therapy. So the mill had, like, a family assistance program, which was really cool. I always laugh because I'm like, they paid to get me to a mental state that I could quit, which is weird. So I did, like, I started going to therapy, started doing this soul searching, figure out who I am. I started reading books.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so
Talk about the soul searching a little bit.
Yeah, well, just trying to figure out, like, who are you and what do you want? Like, what do you really want out of your life? So then I started meditating. Meditation was the first one because I was like, my mind was always scattered, didn't really know what I was doing. So then I found this book called The Universe Has Your Back. And it was the first dip into kind of spirituality that I had had. It's where, like, religion and spirituality was really looked down upon in my family. So then I found this book, and it was kind of like meditation and manifesting stuff, and I started kind of doing that, and I made a vision board, and I was like, I want to be a comedian, I want to travel the world, I want, you know, all these things, and Well, no, I don't know if comedy was on there at first. Maybe it was. I'm trying to think. I know that I wanted like the RV and I wanted to travel. I know I wanted to find a partner. I wanted love.
Everybody
which is
wants that.
still,
Yeah,
still haven't got that one figured out, but we're getting there.
Hey man, are you trying to get hits from
Yeah,
advertising?
exactly.
Advertising on the show.
Hey, yeah, the single suspender
You gotta
guy
pay for
over
that.
here. Hey, come on, if you're out there.
So talk when you do your soul searching.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you realize about yourself? Because I would assume that you go to a process, right? You go from this, then you go deeper and deeper, and then you get to your core. What do you learn about this whole process?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, it's really hard to think back then of what it was. I know how
What
I
did
get
you
there
realize?
now.
What was the realization of all this soul? So you quit drinking, you went to therapy. What was the end result of all this meditation and?
Oh, everything is like, probably has led to where I am now. Like it, right? And like the biggest thing I learned now, like I've learned now, I'm trying to think. So the first exercise that I really got in therapy that was very, very good was they tell you that it's that thing where they say like picture your death in 3 years.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that one?
I do it every day.
Okay, yeah, exactly. See, there you go. So it's like they say picture your death in 3 years and you're at your funeral.
Yep.
And then they say so this is like, because you have to figure out first, like, what do I value? Like that's step one is what do I value, what's important to me?
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of people, they don't know. And it's like, I don't know. So a good exercise is this. You go, picture your death in 3 years.
Yeah.
Now they say you're at the funeral, what would you want a family member to say about you?
Yeah.
What would you want a close friend to say about you? And what would you want like a coworker to say about you?
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, I'd want my family members to be like, oh, he was so loving and, supportive or cheerful. And, a friend, you'd be like, he was dependable and trustworthy and kind.
Yeah.
Coworker would be like, he's hardworking and, honest. And now once you write those out, that gives you your basis for your framework of like who you are.
Who you are, exactly.
Like what do you value? You value honesty. You value, hard work. You value trust. You value being dependable. So then you start acting in those manners. So when you get in the situations in your life, you go, what would a dependable person do in this situation? What would a kind person do? What would someone who's honest do? And then you start acting out those ideals and you watch your life improve. And I started going to the gym. My buddy started dragging me into the gym. Josh Garneau, great dude. He would bring me in the gym all the time. And that was a really big one for me. Like, and that's still to this day. Like I go to the gym, I would say 5 to 6 times a week. And it's the best. He said, what are you looking, eyeing me up, dog? Huh? You want to flip this table, bro?
Bro, this table took so long for us to find and to put together.
It's decent. I mean, it's only got one leg. I mean.
Sometimes one-legged things are the best things.
Really? Okay, I'll tell that to my uncle after Vietnam.
Are you serious?
No, can you imagine? Like my uncle was in Nam. I don't think he did that.
Man.
But yeah.
Okay, so you went through that, right? What did you realize at the end of it? What was the result of all of this stuff? What was your realization, the moment of truth?
I don't know if I had a Rama. I'm trying to think, man. Like it was just.
Okay, so it comes down
I
to
don't.
this.
It was that I was unhappy. I felt like I was wasting my life. I felt like I had all this unlimited potential, and that I was wasting it in this place. That I was capable of so much more. Big thing was like I felt like I could have the life I dreamed of. Like feel like you can.
So what happened after? You quit your job?
Yeah.
Did this give you the reason to quit your job?
No, so what ended up happening, like I was ready to quit my job and just go do the vlog thing. But then I met a girl from Australia and she was very, very sweet. She's still one of my best friends to this day. Her name's Eloise. And she came and lived with me for like 2 months. She was a tattoo artist. And she's a tattoo artist, phenomenal, like one of the best in the world, man. Like I'll show you some of her stuff later. She does realism tattoos.
Oh, wow.
And it's like,
those are the best ones.
dude, it looks like you look and you're like, that is that person. Like she's so good at it. And she was living with me for a while, and she really started dragging me out to comedy. She's like, you're going to comedy this weekend. And I'm like, I don't want to go perform. She's like, no, you're going to go. And she's like, you got to go do this. And she introduced me to Macklemore and the book, The Alchemist. So The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And then really just started, like, she told me about her life, right? She was like, hey, I was going to university. And I wanted to be a tattoo artist. And she's like, I'd never tattooed. I didn't do any of that. But she's like, I just went to all the tattoo shops with my drawings and was like, hey, I want to try tattoo. And, finally found someone who would apprentice her. And she worked for years with no pay. And Then like, you know, now she's making more money than she ever would have.
But she's good at drawing though, right?
Oh, it's
Oh,
phenomenal.
that's why, because you can transfer it to tattooing.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have to have some base, right? You cannot just.
Yeah, but it's a learned skill again, right? Like
Yeah,
she always
totally
says,
music,
like she always says,
right?
like, but oh no, her drawing though, even right? Like she says, people are always like, oh well, I wish I could draw like you, and she's
It's
like,
a lot of work.
she's like, you know, you think I just was born being able to draw like this? She's like, I had no friends, and nothing, like no good stable home life.
Yeah.
So she's like, I would sit in my room and draw all day. And that's how she got really good at drawing. And that's like, again, like you just start meeting these people and it's like, it's the process. It's like the getting up and working on it every day and just brick by brick. But she really started pushing me towards comedy. And she's like, I think you got to do this comedy thing. And then another one of my really good friends, Michaela, was like, I don't think you should just go on the road in a van willy-nilly. Like, I think you should pursue the comedy thing. So at least you have like a core, like a structure that you're around. And then I started doing comedy a bunch more. I remember when I went to sell my house, it flooded. So this was the crazy thing from the universe, man, was like my house, I was going to list it for sale on Monday, had a realtor coming by on Monday to come take a look at it, and we are going to figure it all out and get it listed. That Sunday, my mom came over to help me clean up some stuff, and, you know, my mom probably did this. My mom was very nervous, right? Like, she just panicked. Like, your son is just selling everything and going to get in a van and drive to Central America? Like, that's not a good sign. So she came over, and I remember hearing water running. Like, you could just hear water running. I'm like, there's no one running water. So I, like, went downstairs, and then the basement had flooded. So it, like, flooded, the water main burst. So then I, like, ran, shut the water main off, and it didn't stop. It kept going. So it was broke between the water main and the city. So it was under the foundation of the house.
Oh, God.
So then I had to phone the city, get it shut off, and then it was like insurance got involved and everything, and they're like, dude, this is like you know, this could be like a 6 to 8 month project. Like, this is a big thing to get fixed. And so then I remember breaking down in tears crying, and I was like, I'm never gonna leave. I'm like, I'm never getting out of Prince George. I'm like, I can't quit my job now. Like, I can't sell my like, and I just was like this, so defeated and sad. And then when I came back to and got around it all, I was like, hey, I'll play one more year of competitive hockey with my friends, and it'll be fun over the winter, because this was in like September that this happened. So I was like, I'll play this year competitive hockey. We'll get it repaired over the winter. I'm like, the house will sell for more than I had it planned originally, and then I'll get to go and in the spring buy the RV or van and hit the road. And went to the hockey tryouts, and I got cut. I just was too fat and out of shape, and they cut me from the competitive team. So now you're like, now I was really upset, because I'm like, okay, now I'm stuck in Prince George. I'm not playing hockey, and I'm not getting, like, I was so upset.
All the hopes was going, basically.
Yeah, just like, you're like, oh, this was a very low point in my life.
Would you start drinking again?
I don't think so. I still drink now.
Like, no, I mean, like, heavy. Right?
No, I don't think I started then again. I don't think I did. I think, because what I started doing, I remember thinking about, what I always told myself is play that hockey as long as you can. Because, like, I remember there was a period in my life where I didn't play hockey, like from the time I was like 17 until 22, where I wasn't really playing. And I missed it. I was like, dude, you missed your chance. Like, you'll never get to play competitive hockey again. Like, you can play beer league now, but not at the level that you want to play, where it's like full contact and people are like, they want to win, you know? And then I got to play that senior men's hockey, and I got to do that again. And it was like so fun. And then when I got cut from that, I always said, play hockey as long as you can. As soon as you can't, switch to comedy. Because comedy doesn't have like an age limit, right? There's no, like, you can do this until you're 100 years old if you want. It's where hockey's not the same. So then when that happened, I remember I pivoted, and I went and I phoned all the pro comics that I had met, just messaged them all, said, hey, I'd love to start learning how to do this stand-up comedy thing. You know, I'd love to open for you. I have a good job. Like, you don't have to pay me anything. I'll fly myself anywhere. I'll open for you for nothing. And everyone ignored me except for Simon King. So Simon was like, hey, kid, like, if you're serious about this, I got it.
No, you didn't got it.
Oh, no,
None of
you
us
didn't
got
get
it.
it. No one's getting it. There's a floating thing for those of you watching at home. Oh, look at it, it's coming back. No, that's my Oracle juice thing. Maybe that's a little thing from the universe as I'm talking about my story. Simon answered, and he was like, yeah, kid, if you're serious about it, I'll tell you everything. Like, I'll teach you everything I know. So then I started going on the road with him. And then as soon as I saw the business side of it, like he introduced me to that, like because he taught me how to book a show. So he's like, phone a pub, you know, try get them to let us perform, and then they just introduce a simple door deal. Like, so that's why I saw with the business side of comedy. I was like, dude, if I can get 50 people to give us $20, that's $1,000. I'm like, now find a way to do that Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm like, that's $3,000 a week, man. And then you're like, that's $12,000 a month. I'm like, after paying everything, maybe you have $3 or $4 grand left. I'm like, that's as much, if not more, than I'm making at the mill. Like, this is great. And so immediately that became, I'm like, comedy. Like, don't go to the middle. Don't go to the Central America. You know, go to comedy. And then I just started right there. Like, that was the eureka. I think I've found a way to make a living that's going to be fun.
So how do you start the whole thing?
Started comedy?
Yeah, how do you start your business? Tell me about the process of that, because it's a big risk, right?
Yeah, so maybe I just sold everything. After selling everything and paid off all of my debts, I think I had about $100,000 left over, because I had the house for about 12 years, paid equity into it. Out of that, I took $35,000. I found an RV and I bought that. Yeah. And then basically just burned through money. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. It was my first time ever being on the road. It was my first time not working in 12 years that I'd had longer than like 2 weeks off. So the first year in the RV was basically just what I would say fun. Like, I was just driving around, exploring Western Canada. I did like BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Northwest Territories, all in the RV, driving around. And I had a boatload of cash I was sitting on from the thing. So I still had time to be able, like I said, wasn't too worried about the actual money. I was doing maybe like 4 to 6 shows a month that I was actually getting professionally booked. But even a lot of them were losing money and not going that well. But yeah, and then from there, then it became, I got the idea for the Hungry for Laughs tour. Because what I learned was people weren't coming out to see like Simon King specifically. They were coming out because there was a comedy show in these pubs. There was just like comedy night at the pub. Like no one knew who we were. They were just like, oh, it's a comedy show. We'll go check this out, you know? So then I had the idea. I'm like, what if you made the comedy show seem bigger than it was, right? So then I rented my first theater. So I went to Revelstoke, and Revelstoke was just like the place, because it was the one place I don't know, I just felt a connection. I loved it there. So then I rented their theater, and then I put together this Hunger for Laughs thing. So I was like, okay, I'll rent your theater, and then it was going to be, we're going to donate one food item from every ticket sold to the food bank in Revelstoke. So then that was like, okay, then every ticket we sell, we'll do have a charity, and we've got them. And then I remember I'd never done any marketing or anything, so I bought radio advertising. So then I phoned the radio station, said, hey, we're doing this event we're doing a comedy show, and it's going to the community food bank. Can you give us a deal on some radio advertising? They're like, sure, we'll give you $1,500 for $500. I said, perfect. So then I bought that. Then I went to Save on Foods. Then I went to Save on Food and said, hey, we're doing this local charity show. We'd love for you to get behind it. I was like, you know, if you could sponsor the event, I'm like, we'll give you $1,500 in radio advertising. And they're like, sure, we'll give you $500. So I was like, perfect. So then that covered the radio advertising with them doing that. And then, we did the show, and it went okay. It was like pretty good. And it was just lots of fun. But it was, got to sit up straight. I've been slouching the whole time, and I look at your posture. So, so then that was like the side of it I could see there was just that. And then basically modeled it after like the Snowed In Comedy Tour. So the Snowed In Comedy Tour is like the most successful comedy tour in Canada. And you just see what those guys do and kind of going after that. And then, but yeah, then it just started growing and growing. And then I started booking more and more shows. And then eventually, then what happened? I went to Australia. So this was right after that Hunger for Laughs, the first time in 2019. So in 2020, I went to Australia for the first time. And how long do you want me to keep going about this?
How much time do you have? How much? You're good? 1 hour?
We're at an hour.
Should we wrap it up a little bit, or maybe talk a little bit about how everything gelled and everything came together, and then we cut it.
Okay, so how everything gelled. So the big thing was like, it was really tough through COVID because you couldn't go out and perform. So it was very, very hard. but I used.
Did you almost went bankrupt during COVID?
No, because of the CERB. Thank you, CERB money. You know, without it, I would have been bankrupt. But I had no bills, right? I have no anything.
Yeah.
So the CERB was great. I was making more money on CERB than a comedian, to be honest with you.
God, man.
And then, but it was very, I used the time very well. I learned how to write jokes. I didn't have to produce anymore, didn't have to do any of that. So I spent all my time learning to write jokes, how to be an actual comedian. And then when I came out of COVID, it was just learning how to perform the jokes. And then I had like an actual good product of comedy to sell to people. But no, how it all came together, dude, was like last year we launched the big, I don't know, it's going to take a long time. But basically, so now I've got a corporation now, so it's ECL Productions. So it was an experiment called Life, is what the vlog was. And then what I found too, even when I was trying to get people to book me, no one would book you. They're like, I'm not booking a hippie in a van, dude. Like, you know, but I found if I phoned as a production company, people would book you. So I was like, oh, I need to change an experiment called Life. So I started a company called ECL Productions. And I'd phone and be like, hi, it's Alex Mackenzie with ECL Productions. So we're inquiring about potentially booking a comedy show at your venue. Would you be interested? And I started doing that with pubs and bars. And then eventually I realized that it was just as easy, almost like just do theaters, like scale it. Like comedy is so scalable. That's a nice thing. Like it was like go from 50 people in a bar, go to 150 people in a community hall, then go to a couple hundred people in a theater. Now we're doing an arena this year. Which is like 3,000 seats here in Prince George. So, you know, and this weekend, like last weekend, we were just in Vernon and Kelowna and Vernon, and we did like, you know, 750 seats like there. We're selling those out. This weekend we're in Grand Prairie and Red Deer, and Grand Prairie's almost sold out. Red Deer's still got 200 tickets left. And then, we're coming home and bringing the big one to the arena here in Prince George. And, but dude, it's working. It's working. And,
you look very happy, man. You know, like, you know.
Oh, dude, my life could not be better right now. Like, you're also catching me at a very good time, man. Like, this tour is going very, very well. Everything's going right now. You know, like last year, this tour, I lost $60,000 on this tour.
You know, man, sometimes you gotta go through a lot of stuff before you make it. Right? Because sometimes you make it, you don't deserve it, you destroy everything, right?
Yeah. So well, also together too, like it's just a lot of risk taking and a lot of, like I took a lot of business loans because I burned through all that money. I had no money left. And so then I had to learn how to get business loans, and no bank would give them to me. So I had to learn community futures. So I had to learn how to write a business plan, go to community futures. And then they like helped me incorporate. They helped me get a micro loan, and they secured it against my RV. So if I don't pay, they're taking my RV, my house.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude, just imagine that. They're just taking this drive away. They're just driving your house away. No. Yeah.
That's crazy. Man.
So then, did all of that and then just keep persevering. And
so things are good now.
amazing. Dude, you want to know the coolest thing?
Sure.
So, actually, my special came out. So my special, it's on Amazon Prime in America and the UK and Canada. You can get it for free on YouTube. So that just came out. And what else is pretty cool? Oh, I just launched my biggest solo show ever. So it's 750 seats in Fredericton, New Brunswick.
Oh, I know Fredericton. Oh my God, it's such a good place.
I love it, dude. It's so
I miss that
exciting.
place so much,
And it was a blooper. I thought we were booking a 250 seater. It's 750 seats. And I was like, oh my God. But I'm like, whatever, we'll do it. And really, really cool. One of the coolest feelings ever is when you launch a show and tickets sell right away. So the thing is, this show's not till January 20th. And we put tickets on sale. And in the last 3 days, we've already sold 60 tickets.
Oh, wow.
And you're like, dude, like it's working. Like everything you're doing is working, man. Like all the day, like the morning routine, like I write every day. I post every day. I'm just constantly, this is all I do. I live a very, very secluded life with me and a laptop and a dog. And you're just like trying to write
You have become
jokes.
that monk that you wanted to be.
Dude.
What, you're a comedian.
Yeah.
So that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Where can people find you if they want to see your stuff?
Oh, alextellsjokes.com.
That's amazing. Should we wrap it up? Is it time to wrap it up? Okay, I can go for hours and hours. Right? I can take everything out, man.
I know.
So, let's see here. Anything else? Something that is important. For somebody who wants to start comedy,
Right.
it's just starting, what should they do? What should they do?
I would write every day and get on stage as much as possible.
Okay. Good.
So it's a very, very simple process, I think. I think it's just Like it's just write and get on stage. Like, cause you have to, there's certain things, like you have to learn how to write a joke. So that's step one. So I read books, man. Like I really believe in them. A lot of people don't. They think you're funny or you're not, or you have it or you don't. I read all the joke writing books I could find. So I would read How to Write Funny by Scott Dickers. So he's the founder of The Onion. Very simple, formulaic way to write jokes. And then also read a book called Ha, which is the psychology of laughter. So it's like if you can learn why people laugh, then you can know like how to make them laugh, you know, but you have to know why people laugh first.
That is amazing. I'm learning so much. Okay, you know what? Do you have a couple of clean jokes to finish it off here?
Oh yeah, clean joke. This isn't mine, but here's one. He goes, why'd the bicycle fall over?
Why?
Because it was too tired. A good one, right?
Yeah, look at that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what are like my clean jokes. If I have like what are they? I don't know. I can't think of one on top of my head. I'm trying to think of like a one-liners.
Make a joke about Prince George.
Oh, about Prince George?
Mr. PG.
Oh, Mr. PG? No. You know what? I used to have a pulp mill joke.
Okay, go ahead.
So I would say, I think working like a pulp mill was like being on a bowling team. Because we were all just a bunch of pinheads who loved talking about our balls. And the whole time, everyone was hoping for a strike. So that was my pulp mill joke. I don't know if we can say balls on the air.
I don't know. We'll find out soon.
We'll find out. I might get you guys canceled. You imagine you're like, dude, this comedian's going to get us so many views. And then you just canceled.
We put you on something else then.
Yeah.
We have multiple.
Yeah, you go somewhere else. You can bury my content in the archives.
No, don't worry. We have other channels also, right?
Yeah.
So those are more open. You can say stuff you want. Right?
Yeah.
So, how do you feel right now that you achieved all the things you wanted to? What is the feeling like? You look so happy. You look like a...
No, it's fulfilled. Like, I feel like I'm on I don't know, man, like on the right path. Like, I feel like I found myself. I feel like I've hit my stride. And it's very rewarding. Something I've learned, though, is like, happiness is not a sustainable goal. Like, you're not always going to be happy.
No, it's impossible.
And you're not always going to want to get up and do the thing. That's the thing. Like, I love my life now, man. And I love my job. Like, it is, I would not... How I always describe to people is like that thing where it's like, if I won the lottery, my life wouldn't change. Like the only thing that would be different is I would be doing it bigger. Like I'd be like, okay, we're renting all arenas and I would just be dumping money into these shows and not caring if I made money or not. I would just be like, how do we put on the biggest, baddest show? And so like the event production, the comedy, I don't know. I feel full. Like you're just like, you wake up every day. And the nice thing is I can look back every 3 months and I'm like, I'm so much better than I was. Like in every way, not just in my comedy and my performing and my business, but as a person. Like the best part about comedy, dude, is I get to go, as I'm getting better at it, I get to write every day about it. And I go, who is Alex Mackenzie? And what is it like to be Alex Mackenzie? And then I have to ask those questions all the time, like, who am I? Like, well, who are you, dude? And then, and what's it like to be me? So what's it like to live in a van with a dog and drive around doing comedy, you know? And then you get to write that and make jokes, and then I get to like dispense that to a group of people. And one of the best things is I get to be understood. Like, I think we all want to be understood. And I say, like, if I didn't have this outlet, like now that I have this performing outlet, I'm way calmer and like in life, you know? Because before, it was like at dinner, I was like, you're trying to be the goofy, funny guy because this is the only time you ever get to see people and do stuff, you know? Is where now you're like, oh man, you're so much more relaxed. It's like, I have a place that I go to do this, you know? And if I, you know, my opinions, I have a place I get to air those and all of these things. And it's, I would say like, I don't know. Just it doesn't even comedy. Like, just find your thing, man. Like, I really
find your passion, I guess, right?
But I think that's where people get misconstrued with passion, is that the second there's any hardship or there's something they don't like, I think
they give up.
Yeah, we give up and we think no. Comedy. Do you know how many times I've thought about quitting comedy? Like all the time, I still might quit. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna turn the table against your head, man. It's this guy.
No.
Maybe both of us will be like,
just,
he knows he's a champion. You know, what is it? Taekwondo?
Judo, maybe.
Judo. All right.
No.
Hey, he put his judo on you.
Yeah,
you know, I just hit the table.
Down,
Both
smashed this beautiful brick studio.
Yeah, brick damaged the bricks.
I know.
You walk with the light.
Yeah, it'd be terrible.
This guy.
No, it's
quit.
But there's so many, like there are things, and there's a lot of things in the job I don't like doing, like because I self-produce everything. So we do everything from booking the theaters to sending insurance to the marketing to the lawyer stuff to booking flights and hotels and then the actual physical production of the shows. We do all
tough.
of
It's
it.
not easy. I know.
So then like, you know, like I'm working like every day from like 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. You know, you just work.
Yeah.
You know, like as soon as we get off here, like I'm gonna go check my phone. There's probably 5 emails that need to be answered. You know, and it's not always fun, but it is rewarding.
Yeah.
And
At least it's something you like and you do it for yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're not working for somebody, making somebody else rich, right?
well, that's the thing too. Is like you get to see the growth. Like I look at now, man. Like I'm going from doing these 20, 30 person pubs to doing these big theaters, man. And I'm gonna do arenas. I always say in 10 years, I'm gonna sell out Rogers Arena. It's going to be in Vancouver, be a Rogers Arena, 18,000 people.
Yeah.
Going to be right there.
That's beautiful. Man.
And it's just like, goals that keep striving and doing it for something bigger than you is a big one. I don't know. I love motivational speaking. I listen to motivational speakers every day. I just let them yell at me.
No, it's good, man. You need to be encouraged, right? I mean, you have to surround yourself with the positive influences, right?
Yeah.
Than a negative. Okay, Alex, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, whatever, man. Let's go.
Alex, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here, Zeus.
It was an amazing interview, and I learned so much, and the audience have learned also. I hope you enjoy this episode and learn not to ever give up on your dreams, because once you give up on your dream, you give up on yourself, and life that you could be living becomes impossible. And then you realize that when it's too late. What do you think about that?
I agree. I always tell people that I think I got to the point at the age of 30 that most people get at the age of 40. Just because I started at 19, had a mortgage, and the goal is normally to get a house. And by the time I was 30, I realized this was a scam. But I think most people get there at 40, and then by the time you're 40, you're like, we're closer to the end than the beginning. So they're like, we'll just wait it out till we're 55 and get out of here. And then you're 55 and your life passed you by.
It's too late.
And you're like, oh.
Where is your address? Just in case you quit, Jeff and I will come and find you.
Oh, my address is KF050S. It's a license plate number. The van that I live in.
Good, brother. That was amazing talking to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Zeus.
Good.